Welcome back to From Nine to Mom.
Where we discuss balancing the 9 to 5 hustle with the beautiful chaos that we call motherhood. And today we are very excited. We have Jenna D'Annunzio here with us. I pulled up her LinkedIn profile because she didn't tell me all these things, but she is a holistic business and mindset coach. She's also an international best-selling author. She's been a keynote speaker at multiple events. She is a girl boss, and she also is from our hometown, and we have a lot more crossover than I could have ever imagined. So I'm so excited to have you here to talk about business and all things life. So thanks for coming.
Yes, thanks for having me. Good morning.
Yeah, and we're going to dive right in because I think the first thing we connected, not me personally, but that I loved that you and Danielle started talking about was the family biz and both of your relationships to your family business. And my dad's a business owner too, but I chose the path of not working with him, and both of you have chosen the path of working with your dads. So I want to dive into it with both of you and talk about how you've been navigating that specifically. So Jenna, can you give us a little overview of how you got into the family business, and how things are going working with your dad?
Yes, I would love to. Well, again, I just want to say thank you for having me. I was really, really excited when I saw you guys at the Elevate Women Summit. I was just like, oh my God, they're really cool. I got to follow you. And Katie, you were a speaker, so that was so exciting. And we definitely jived. So thank you for having me. Yeah, so I would say probably my dad founded this company, our company called, we're actually going through, wink, wink, a little bit of a rebrand right now. Yes, exciting.
We love a good rebrand.
Teaser.
Yes. And it's not going to be too different. We're just going back to our original roots, which feels more in alignment with both he and I as I start to really kind of step into not only my own power, but the owner of the full owner of the company.
Yeah.
But either way, he founded this company probably, it's almost 30 years now. I would say maybe around like 27 years ago. And as a kid, I didn't really know what was going on. He just poured everything, as we know, as an entrepreneur, poured everything into it. And so I was just kind of going through the notions, not really understanding what was happening, but just to spend time with him. I'd get home from school and literally like sit in the den while he was on coaching calls and do my homework just to be in that same energy field. And that was kind of when I would start to pick up some of the things that he was saying, some of the principles. I'm like, this is pretty cool. Like, people call him money. Listen to what this guy says.
Trying to understand. Yeah.
But in full transparency, when it came to me for a long time, I rejected it. I was like, I'm not your client. I'm your kid. I want to do what I want, say what I want, when I want. And
I could totally see that. Did you say a lot of like, stop coaching me, Dad? Like, did you say that all the time? Yeah.
Like, hi, I'm Jenna, not your client. Like that was the thing, right? And he would try to teach me really the principles of how to live a really happy life, how to build a life that you love. And like, I was just like, yeah, Dad, shut up. Like, leave me alone. I don't want to clean my room. I don't want to do my homework. I don't want to
hear any of it.
Right?
Yeah. And
so it really wasn't until I needed to find my own way. And I went to college for teaching. So I have an undergrad degree in education and history with special ed. And then kind of I went down that route, but I was recruited to do more case management stuff and social work because I almost indirectly was taking the life success production principles that he did teach me, even though I rejected.
You were listening.
I was listening, and I was using those in the facility that I was working with. So I was working in a non-secure detention center for at-risk youth.
Okay.
So even though I was there from an education standpoint, there were so many life skills that these little ones they didn't have role models. They didn't know. So I was bringing that into that space, and I was noticed by the clinical manager. So I went down that route, and that's when I got my master's in clinical psychology with a specialization in counseling. And, it's unfortunately, it's very fulfilling to help support young ones in that scene, but you pour so much of yourself back.
I can't even imagine.
And you really don't get much back. And so I was making, $30,000 a year. I had just had my first daughter. It's honestly, it's your textbook. I was working 8 to 4, busting my butt, and then just to make ends meet.
To spend a minute with your child, you know?
And then bartending like 4 days a week.
Okay.
So, ironically enough, we were sitting out at his house one Friday, had a little happy hour. We're sipping lemon drop martinis. And I was like, hey, you got a job for me? Like, I'm ready. And he's like, actually, I do. And I'm like, really? He's like, yeah, are you serious? I was like, yeah, I think I'm serious. Like, I really feel like I'm ready to work with people who want to be worked with, who see that cognitive dissonance. Like, I'm ready for it. And so the rest is kind of history. That was a little over 10 years ago. And here we are.
That's crazy. And it just makes me laugh the way you say it, because I felt, and Katie, this is something you will relate to. When you have a parent who's an entrepreneur, especially your dad, and I don't care, the daddy-daughter relationship, there's something unique about it. And I idolized my dad. And I remember you said you would sit in the den and listen to him talk to clients. My dad owned carpet stores first before we owned the marketing company, which weirdly enough, like over 25 years ago, the marketing company started. So when you say that long, but we owned carpet stores before that. And like, I can still smell that's one of my favorite smells is fresh carpet and padding, because I would just go and hang out because I wanted to be near him. You know, I wanted to hang out, and I would listen, like you said, to the way he treated people, the way he built relationships. And you don't even realize you're doing it, but you're taking it all in. But I also did my own thing for over 10 years because I wanted to pave my own path and learn stuff outside of just the family business per se. I wanted to be able to, I also felt like I wanted to earn my place and show my expertise. I felt like if I just went and started working for the family business, I wouldn't have gotten all the skills that I was able to acquire outside of the small business world. So I understand why you wanted to do something for yourself. And my conversation with my dad was very similar when I was ready to move over. I was pregnant with Colton, and I was managing a Target, and I had I can't remember, 250 employees. I was working 15 hours in stores a day, and I loved it. I loved it, what I did. But I remember thinking, I can't do this and be the parent that I want to be forever. I could have done it for short term, but in retail, that's your life. You just keep moving up and you just keep working more hours. So it wasn't like it was going to get less. And I remember thinking I can't do it. And YPC had just bought another company. So they needed help with structuring that out and working that out. So it was perfect timing. I was joking around, got a job for me? He's like, no, we just bought another company. I really could use you now. And I was like, same thing. I was like, really?
Yeah. It was 1,000% the same thing when all the stars aligned. And by the way, I was also, and didn't know it when we had that conversation, pregnant with my second.
Really?
I found out that I was pregnant with her 3 weeks after I started.
See, that's so crazy. And then you're starting this new job. And then I felt like, Katie, you'll remember this, that I had to prove myself even more. So I traveled from Charlotte to Rochester Monday through Thursday every week through my entire pregnancy until I was 36 weeks pregnant.
Oh my gosh.
It was really fun, actually. Really fun.
I bet. I mean, it was a very similar situation. I literally was on coaching calls while in labor because I worked. I did. And then finally, I remember coming down, I was working from my dad's house at the time. And I remember coming downstairs and he looked at me and he's like, you don't look so good. Are you okay? And I was I'm leaning up against during control. I'm like, I think she's coming. Now, mind you, I was 3 days overdue. And he was like, yeah, maybe you should reschedule your afternoon. I just kept going. And the beautiful thing about what we can do is, yes, I didn't really have a maternity leave, so to speak. However, your traditional maternity leave.
Completely understand.
But the beauty of it was she came with me everywhere.
Yes.
In the profession that I was and having established and built, I created the maternity leave that I wanted.
Which makes a lot of sense.
The ability to, with my clients.
You needed.
Yeah, which was fully in alignment with all of them.
Yeah.
They were so on board with it. And it worked out really well, truly, until I came back officially full time. But that was when she was, months old, 4 or 5 months old, where I was like, okay, she's old enough. I can send her to one of my best friends who was watching my oldest anyway. So it really worked out.
That is really nice.
Yeah.
Definitely a perk too of like being in the family business is that you got some control over that and being able to do that. Will you remind us too, Jenna, how old your kids are now?
Yeah, so my oldest is 11. Her name is Addie. My middle is going to be 9 in like 3 weeks. Her name is Everly. She is your very, very textbook second wild middle child. She's a middle child. And my youngest will be 6 right before Christmas. So he's like 5.5.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Me and Katie talk a lot about the 6 because Colton is 6 and it's a unique age and he's my first. So I'm learning it all for the very first time.
He is 6. Oh my God. He's 6 already. He's 6
It's
and a half.
Classic third child.
Yep. Excuse me while I just take another sip of my coffee.
But Katie, I just bought Bills. You know, my friends bought Monday night tickets to the game in Atlanta. I'm very excited.
That's going to be
nice.
Coming in, so I'm very excited. And they're playing the weekend before, and we're going to see them in Charlotte. And the worst part of all this, I hate to say it out loud, but I'm a Steelers fan, but who doesn't love the Bills?
Good girl. See, I knew I liked you.
It's okay.
She knows that she's got to
deep down. It's really bad. Like I love Josh Allen so much, and I hate that. Like I have to admit it out loud, but I can't deny it anymore.
You know, he's not easy to dislike.
No, he's so kind.
It doesn't matter what.
He's so beautiful, so kind, so talented. His speaking abilities are he's so humble. I mean,
this definitely just turned into a football podcast now, but Danielle, we didn't talk about that the Steelers, isn't Aaron Rodgers going to the Steelers?
He is.
We haven't talked about it.
I am so sorry to everyone listening to this. We're going to take a debrief here. But so Jordan told me and I almost died, but it makes sense to me because when I think about Mike Tomlin, what he's been trying to do this whole time with quarterbacks since Ben left, he hasn't found like the one. And I feel the Steelers are usually.
You think he's going to be the one?
No, he's not. This is the point. Okay. I think that they're he's on his last leg, man. I can't believe the dude's still playing football. They're like, maybe he will give us, he's good. Maybe he'll give us a better shot.
He's an octopus. He's been on his last leg.
Yeah, but he's also so controversial that I love that he's going to be part of the Steelers.
You're going to love the drama. You're going to love it.
And love it. I am here for it.
You need the drama.
Yeah, because I didn't think this was going to be our season anyways, and they usually surprise me every year, but I believe that they're looking for their forever quarterback, and they know that it wasn't in this draft round. They couldn't find that person for them, so Tomlin's like, you know what? Let's take Aaron Rodgers, give him a spin.
Let's pull up the old man for a year.
Give the people what they want. Drama. Sure.
People want it. People still want to see him play. But all right. So to get back on our normal podcast topics.
Well, we're talking about our dad's businesses. I don't know if your dad had this, but he had a giant Jim Kelly cutout that was signed by Jim Kelly. Like it was an entire Bills paraphernalia.
Oh, the whole office is like every Father's Day, birthday, everything. You'd bring your dad something to his office. Ours was like decorated and all of our things. Yeah. My mom would like make sure that his office was full of things from us.
We are diehard Bills fans. My dad was actually born in Buffalo, moved to Rochester when he was 2. So both my grandparents are from Buffalo, and like it's just when I met my husband, I mean it was something that like for me personally, I could never be with somebody who wasn't a Bills fan. Like that is the first question that I asked. Like
it was very important.
What is your name? Right?
Yeah.
Do I like your name? And are you a Bills fan? And
so when you said, do you like your name? Did you guys, this is not what we plan on talking about today. We're
just going with it.
Also, names were a big thing for me. So when Jordan broke up with me the first time, I remember being devastated for a couple of reasons, but mostly because like I really loved his name. And I was like, what if I don't find anyone with a cool name? Because everyone in my family is Michael Joseph. It's like an Italian. I don't know if your family does this. Mm-hmm. So it's every boy, firstborn boy is the grandfather's name plus the other grandfather is the middle name. So it's like the most boring roulette ever because you know what everyone's name is. And Jordan was Jordan. And I was like, oh, yeah. German. I don't know what I thought, whatever. And I was so sad. So when you say, like, what's your name? Do I like your name? And then what's your favorite team? But
yeah, I've only ever been in like 2 relationships and I married the second one. The first, he was a J name. And I really liked like that our alliteration.
Yeah.
So when that was bye. And then my husband is Ben. And so I was like, okay, but that is like a wholesome name.
Ben, you know, it's a good guy.
You're just like
Ben.
Big Ben, he's just wholesome, and he's just like this big cutie little ginger. And I was like, okay, I could get
Okay, so Bens are usually ginger. It's the crazy, like every Ben I know is kind of got a little bit of ginger in them.
Well, there you go. Because he's Big Ben is a ginger. So I was like, all right, I like this. But what's funny is that his family tradition is the firstborn son's middle name is always the dad's name, their father's name. So that goes back generations. So the one thing that I didn't love was that Benjamin feels like a hard middle name to pair with.
It's a long name for a middle name. It's
long, right? And I mean, we made it work. I wasn't going to be the one to stop that. But like, okay, Jenna went rogue. I didn't.
You did your duty.
I did my duty. Teddy, my son's name is Theodore, after my grandmother's brother.
That goes good. Theodore Benjamin, like you nailed it.
Yeah.
I think I nailed it. And if I didn't,
yes,
I
do think you nailed it.
I nailed it.
It's good.
It sounds good.
Yeah, it sounds hearty.
Right.
So did your husband come from, because Katie, we talk about this sometimes, did your husband come from an entrepreneurial family as well, or just you?
Just me.
Okay.
Just me.
So does he think you're nuts for working with your dad?
Probably. Yeah.
He's never said it out loud, though.
No, Jordan said it out loud many times.
Because, then what? Then we're like, all right, well, yeah. I mean, but we are kind of nuts.
Yeah.
Right? We are kind of nuts. And it's a very interesting journey to navigate. And so I hold firm in this belief that I consistently, I view it as a more neutral experience.
Okay.
There are pros and that there are cons, because no matter what my dad does in his personal life and in his professional life, I am the only person on this planet that is the most impacted by every decision that he makes, both personally and professionally.
I feel that.
Because I'm his kid, I'm the mother of his only grandbabies, and I'm his business partner.
Mm-hmm.
So he moves, it impacts me personally and professionally, and chooses to invest in something that, we may or may not have had a definitive conversation around.
Can you sound familiar?
It's true, though. Like, you think about it that way.
Absolutely. And so I'm sure he obviously could probably say the same, but given the dynamic of father and daughter, there's not as big of an impact, it feels like, to me.
Yeah.
Would you agree with that, Danielle?
I feel that with my parents, there's been a lot of change. So working with my dad, me and my dad used to be called, our family would call him the tornado, and I was the tornado in a dress. Both very dynamic, loud personalities. But I always liked that about so it wasn't something that I didn't like. But now that we're working together, I think I'm probably, maybe Katie can weigh in, but like one of the first people to give my dad like kickback, in the business world. But I 100% agree that everything he does personally and professionally impacts me, but I have impacted him more, I think, in some ways, because I moved to Charlotte and he wanted to be closer to the grandkids. So he uprooted our business is in Rochester. He uprooted his entire life and came to Charlotte with my mom to be more. My brothers live here too, so it's not just me, but my dad will say, like, you're the favorite, like wherever you go, I go. And I hate to say that out loud, but he says it so I can say it. And I think he's also the hardest on me because I am the favorite. So I think that I did impact his life more in more recent times by making choices for me and Jordan with Jordan's job and stuff, and him kind of following suit. But I think that in the grand scheme of things, his decisions do impact me longer term, because like you said, if whatever they do personally is going to impact you no matter what. But when you work with your parent, like an investment, or we're going to go follow this shiny object, or we're going to chase this dream, we're the ones that are going to be chasing the dream in 3 years or following up from that decision. Maybe not them. And my dad's not ready to retire, but he's definitely stepping back, which I love. Like he goes and gets Colton for me when I ask, or it's a completely different side of my dad that I didn't see as a kid. A softer, more whimsical side of Mike Pa, which I think is great. But yeah, I don't know. I guess that's a hard question, because I think that a lot of the things that I've done recently have impacted him and my mom. But it's not just me; it's the rest.
Yeah,
of kids.
I think I don't know if it's necessarily a hard question. It's just one that doesn't resonate as much because you made the bigger move there.
Yeah.
Which is great. You decided that for your family. And I love that for you.
Yeah, it was the best decision for all of us. We're all here together. So both me and my brothers are here together. And now my parents are here. They live 5 seconds away from my house. They lived with me for a long time. So that's like when they made that decision, that did impact me. They lived with me and my little brother for almost a year.
Okay.
But it's just an interesting thing to look at. But I think that the piece that is the hardest and the greatest is the fact that there is no separate. It's very hard to separate business and personal. And even when you think you're doing it, or he thinks he's doing it, when it's your family, it's almost impossible.
Yeah.
To do that. So I remember, and I said this to you when I first met you, I Googled, researched like family business counseling services specifically, because I so desperately saw these communication gaps when there's family and business. Because it wasn't just me. It was me, my brother, my uncle, my dad, my great uncle. This has been a family-wide business for a long time. And especially with men, watching the communication dynamics, like generation to generation, I was like, we cannot continue.
We're going to break some generational curses here.
Yeah, we have to move forward with honesty and transparency. I'm not a good liar. That's one
of the things we wanted to talk about, was setting boundaries. So like, Jenna, what are some of the things to like turn off from like work to personal life, like that you've gone through with your dad, like kind of trying to separate that time?
Well, ironically enough, everybody laughs at me when I am talking with him about, like, if I am addressing him or if I'm speaking about him in a business context, I call him Steve.
I do that with my dad.
Yes.
Mike.
So, yep. So even my clients, they are just like, this is so weird. It's your dad. And I'm like, I'm very aware, right, in my heart, but right now I'm not talking about him as my father.
Yeah.
I'm talking about Steve as my business partner. And so that's one way that I've really been able to help compartmentalize.
Yeah.
In a more professional setting. For me, that was really, really, really important. For the first few years, I really struggled with taking things that he would say to me that around the business personally.
Same.
And I had a very difficult time carefronting him. So just a little step back. We have coined the term carefronting instead of confronting, right?
Oh, I love it. Carefronting.
Carefronting, it is a way in which to authentically, transparently, and directly tell your truth or tell your side of the story. Like what? And so for me, I couldn't carefront him. I felt bad. I was like, oh my God, he's going to get mad at me. And how is this going to impact? And then after, and I had a very, very, very difficult time doing that. Now, this also is because of my background. And if you read my chapter or you listen to the Margs and Mindset, shout out to my girls.
Yeah.
Podcast that I was in a couple weeks or months ago now, I've had a very difficult upbringing with my mother. And so my parents separated. I actually never knew them together. And I was raised by my mom from 0 to 10 with some visitation with dad in there on every other weekend and Wednesday.
Yeah, sure.
That deal. Until I was 11 years old and I came to him and I asked him if I could live with him permanently. And so I haven't really been or lived with her or talked to her kind of since. It's been on and off. And so in that, when you were saying, Danielle, you really idolized your dad, I idolized him not just for the value that he has created, the fact that he was my dad, but also the fact that he kind of saved me.
Yeah.
A very difficult first quarter of my life, right? I always kind of break it up in quarters now because I'm 40.
Yeah, don't talk about it. It's coming for me.
So that was very, very difficult for me to be able to even carefront him because then he would be mad at me. And then what would happen? So creating those boundaries has definitely been a work in progress and an evolution. But I can, with confidence and sheer happiness, true sheer happiness, say that I've really reached this point where I can carefront him. I can tell him my truth without the almost debilitating energy where, oh my God, is he going to be mad at me?
Yeah.
Going to happen. Like I've really been able to reframe my story around that and build my own identity of power within the business, which has been really, really, really exciting and empowering.
I loved how you put that, because you talked about you, like not him. And I think that happened to me with our phase of the business too. When I first started, I wanted to impress him. I wanted to be everything he thought I was going to be and more. I've always had a very open communication style, but I felt like he was taking it so personally when I would try, because I came from like a world where we got feedback all the time. We gave feedback all the time. The target principles really were ingrained in me of like, you know your strengths, you know your weaknesses, you leverage your strengths to neutralize your weaknesses, give feedback in the moment so you can act on it. It's all, like you're saying, out of care for you to become a better version of the leader that you want to be. And that was not how everything was done in the business. And I really struggled with that, but it was really about me. I was struggling because I hadn't come into my power, I feel like, or empowered myself to reframe the narrative and figure out what my role was going to be in the dynamics of that leadership team and of that company. I wasn't handed a leadership role out the gate. I had to get it. Yeah. And I'm sure you felt the same way. And I feel now, when I look back at some of the things and conversations that I was afraid to have, or the way I would react to those conversations after, I don't even recognize like that person anymore, because but it was really truly all about me and how I was perceiving myself and my relationship with my family.
Absolutely. Yeah. And there's a different level of confidence that we get to build if we choose to.
Yes.
And we choose to see how great we really are and how great we really can be. And we don't, for so long I was chasing this dream of, I want to just be like Steve. I want to just be like Steve. And it's like, absolutely not. I don't want to be just like him. Is he great and amazing? Absolutely. But I want to be like me. Like, what does that look like?
Yeah. I think that's so important. And I think that people feel that way at any job, but especially when it's your dad, like your family or your dad. Like we obviously worked with them for a reason. We wouldn't have worked with them if we didn't respect them or think they were good at what they did or think what they built wasn't amazing. Why would you do that? Right. So we did it with intention, and that feeling of, I want to be able to be a part of this because it is so good.
Yeah.
So,
and I think you both kind of relate to where your dads gave everything to the business. And like, I'm sure there were times where they missed stuff when you were younger because they were, working or the later hours. But now both of you as moms, business owners, that type of thing. And you talk about, Jenna, like breaking that generational thing. Like, how are you guys going to change that? Because I feel like both of you are very involved in your kids' lives around, and the world's different now, right? Like you can make your own schedule. People are willing to be more flexible. So how is that, something where you're taking being the business owner and that and being able to be there differently for your kids, I guess I'd say?
Yeah. So for me personally, I watched him build this beautiful lifestyle business, and I was probably it was about 2 years ago now where I said, okay, for me, I really get an incredible opportunity. It's not lost on me, the fact that I, get to be a part of this business and be a part of this lifestyle business and carry on this legacy if that's what I want, which obviously it is. I want to build off of that foundation. But what I want to do is I don't want it just to be a lifestyle business. And we've had that conversation, he and I, and he said, well, kid, this is going to be tough. Like, what does this look like for you if you don't want it to? Because, you will miss some stuff. And that was very difficult for me, as I shared with you, not really having a mom growing up, wanting to rewrite that story for myself. And it is very, 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 very important to me, more than anything else, that I am the kind of mom that I want to be for them. But that's also showing them that my mom's a badass.
Yeah.
And she runs this company, and she's an international best-selling author, and she's up on stages, and she's making an impact, and she's creating massive value, and she's helping people to recognize that they have a choice, that they can change their lives, that they can write their own stories. They can rewrite the negative ones and the positive ones, that they can take their emotional intelligence and personal growth and merge it with a business strategy that really helps them to create a life that they love. And so for me, that looks like a balance. There are going to be some things that I miss, but if I'm really being intentional with scaling this business, I know that I can have the both and. I know that I can still make every recital and still do all the things that I want to do, go on field trips and all those things, and still show up in amazing podcasts with other badass women like yourself.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I love a lot of all the things you say, obviously, because I just am listening. I'm like, oh, I wish you were coaching me right now. But the reality is I struggled with this lifestyle business too, because there is so much value. I see the value in it, but I think people get stuck not understanding that a little bit of reinvestment, or maybe a couple hard, meaning very time consuming years, could give you back in a lifetime of your own. Like you're saying, that if you scale things correctly, you don't. And I think back in the day, it was like you as a leader, or you as the owner, or you as the boss. This has nothing to do with so many business owners, they had to be the hero. They had to be the saver of everyone. They needed to be there for it to run the right way. And I think generationally, we all grew up in a state where if you find the right people and put them in the right places and the right jobs, and they have the right core values and the right training and the right tools and resources, you're creating something for them and for yourself where you should be able to leave and have things run beautifully. Because if you did that, it means you did it right. It means that you have built a team of people who are highly capable, highly skilled, and know exactly what's expected of them. So I see what you're saying, because I feel like people often are like, well, if you want to go on the vacations and you want to do this with your family, you're going to be giving that all up. You're like, no, I'm actually going to be gaining it in the long run.
Yeah. Oh, and that goes back to really getting clear on what you want your business to look like. And I don't know, for Steve, he was clear. He was clear on what he wanted it to look like. And that was great. It served him. He's created an incredible business and a beautiful foundation that I'm thrilled to be able to build off of. But when I look at the business that I want to create, it looks a tad different. Not monumentally different.
Yeah, just a little.
It looks just a little different, but that's more in alignment with who I am, who I want to be, the person I want to be, and what I want to see it continue.
Yeah.
I got 3 kids. Wouldn't it be cool if one of them just continued to build off of it? Why not?
Well, I think it's a valid question for both of you. I remember a financial planner actually asked me that. They're like, okay, as you're starting your own business, is it something that you're looking to build as a legacy? Or is it, are you looking to build to sell? What is that option for you? Let's just talk right now where you guys sit. What do you think for each of you? Would you want to build something as a legacy, or is that not so important to you?
It's totally important to me personally.
Yeah.
I would say this is something that I've been talking to my dad actually a lot about, because he's been putting it out there a lot more. And Katie, you know this, I've talked to you a little bit about it. Our company's been around for almost 30 years and we've employed so many great people. My dad's legacy, I always tell him, is less about the actual business itself and more about the community that he built and how he was able to give people these careers that they would have never had, and put food on people's tables and impact people at such a high scale. And that's the legacy that I would want to continue. That is, to me, the part that I'd say, yes, I absolutely want this to be a legacy business. But because of the industry that we're in and how dynamic it is and how much it's changed just even in the last 3 days, I don't know what that is going to look like from a digital marketing standpoint. So I want to keep the legacy alive, but I don't know if it'll look the way it looks right now because of the roadmap.
Yeah. And I would agree with that. Right here, the legacy technology is changing everything, literally everything. And so that is a conversation that he and I are also having. More people are getting away from one-on-one coaching. And so we're in this space where it's how are we going to scale this thing then? Right. And ironically enough, I was talking to a client yesterday about a very big situation that's going on in his world. And so a lot of our coaching was directed around that. And then afterwards, he sent me later that night, he sent me 9 screenshots of AI. He has built an AI to work around this particular situation. I was floored. My response was holy crap.
Yeah.
Because everything that I had said to him, that we had co-created these options for him to go through, they did it. And it was almost like verbatim what we had talked about.
Isn't that insane? It's insane.
It's absolutely insane. So now, it's pretty much the same thing. It's like, all right, if we're going to continue to build this business and manifest it into a legacy business, it has to look different. There's no doubt about it.
There's no choice, right?
Yeah.
Right.
But do you feel in your line of business, ChatGPT went down for 15 minutes and I thought I was going to die. Not really, but I was laughing about it. And everyone just thought, we posted something stupid about it. And Katie, I don't know if you saw the comments, but people were like, I thought it was just me. I was freaking out. But it was everyone. No matter what business you're in, I think AI is going to be such a big component of how we change our businesses. But at the same time, the human element of having a conversation with a person and the trust that you build and the consistency, do you see that? Is that part of like how you're looking at the future? Like, I just don't see, I know AI is great. We're giving it names, whatever. I just don't see in your line of business that personal connection is such a big part of it. I feel like.
Yeah. I mean, there's an energy component that will never be replaced with AI.
That's a good way to put it. Energy component.
There's an energy component think of our five senses, right? You said today, the sense of smell is the strongest that's tied to memory, by the way. Just the sense of just the smell of carpet.
Yeah. Immediate
moments, right? But no, we can't smell each other right now, but we're seeing each other. We're hearing each other.
You're right.
Each other's laughter, like that kind of stuff. Seeing me play with my necklace or, sip some coffee. Like, those are things that are triggered. So when our five senses are triggered, that we're never going to really have that with just AI.
Yeah.
And so it's really getting curious and intentional about how we can have that both. How can we scale using a tool that it's not going anywhere, right? It's not going anywhere.
It's going to get better, hopefully.
Right. So if we want to continue to grow our business, and this is what I'm working with a lot of my clients, if we want to continue to grow and scale our business, we get this opportunity to see that we can have the both and just figure out what that looks like for us.
Yeah, the conversations are completely different. We're going to an event next week and we're going to talk a little bit more about automation and the tools that we have at our disposal. And I think before people were afraid to talk about them because it made it look like we were going to be not as important or replaced, but it's you still need a person, but these tools are making us so much more powerful, so much more effective, so much more capable than we ever were before. Like it compounds everything that you're doing as one individual. You can do so much more. And we're talking about that next week. And I feel like you have to embrace it, like you said, and leverage it as a tool. That's what it is. It's a great tool, but it is transforming.
Understanding that you're not going anywhere.
Yeah. Like we're staying. But how many times have you had to have that conversation with your business partner? Like, we're not going anywhere. It's this is impacting, but human beings are still necessary.
Yes. And people will always be the primary asset.
Yes. And that is it's people and process. Use the tool to help you with your process and to help the people do their jobs better. It's fine. But I do have a question because my kids are a little bit younger, but starting to notice.
Yeah.
What is the perception of your kids, with you working with your dad? When you ask them, what do you want to do? Are they saying anything about it? Are they oh, I want to be like you?
So it's interesting. I don't think I shared this with you guys, but I'm also a doula. I have put that a little on the back burner because unfortunately, just the time component is really difficult.
Yeah, I can't imagine, but I think you'd be an amazing doula.
Oh, thank you. I really loved it. That merged two of my most passionate things, coaching and pregnancy and motherhood and that experience. So for a long time, the kids were just my mom is brings babies into the world and that's so cool. And I want to do that. And being an author and speaking now and really kind of stepping into that power has been really cool, but they've never really said anything I want to do exactly what you want to do. We're still in my middle still wants to be a professional lacrosse player and a spy.
Well, two really cool goals. Let's hope she gets one of them, right? That's awesome. A spy.
Yeah. A spy, it's you got to be really careful with that one. And then my oldest both of my girls have found their passion in their sport.
Okay.
And so that's really where we are right now. and if they don't, that's okay. You know, I think it's cool the fact that they get to see me create something and build something and create some value. And that's all that they think. The book thing is pretty cool. So
yeah, you're like the cool
I
mom,
can imagine.
right?
Yeah.
This is amazing. But what you're doing for them, just like your dad did for you that you didn't even realize, my brothers, Katie, you were an athlete. My brother was a D1 athlete, and he ended up on his 5th year. He was in the process of getting drafted, and he got injured, and he had to go with plan B, right? Which is a great career. He's a CPA, owns his own accounting firm, whatever. But with what you do and them watching, there's so much room. Hopefully they do become these amazing athletes and they can just go follow their dream. But there's so many jobs in the field of athletics and the mental, like we talked about, like the mental coaching, and especially in solo team sports, baseball, that kind of stuff. There's so much room for like what you do in that field that they could take with them if they wanted to stay in the field of athletics.
This is really funny, but you're going to appreciate this. So, a couple years ago, my dad and I, every Sunday, he would come over, we'd watch football together. This was right when Joshy was starting to become really good, but we still had a lot of 1:00 games.
Yeah.
And I was watching him. Yeah, we weren't quite prime time status yet, and I was watching him, and if he would throw a pick, it would be over. Then his mindset was just like shot. And I said to him, I was like, I'm calling up Sean and I'm going to be his coach. And we're going to work on his mindset and getting out of his own damn way, because when he does that, he doesn't realize that he is self-sabotaging. And Steve is just like, okay, hon. Okay. So yes, to your point, absolutely. I mean, that's the beauty of coaching. You know, you guys are coaches. You just coach in
marketing.
We coach different things, right? I coach financial advisors and small to medium-sized business owners. And so, you know, for my advisors particularly, I tell them, you and I are the same. We do the same thing. You just coach people in their
different
finances.
currency, like different topic.
Yeah.
By the grace of God, because I could never do that. That's not my thing.
I think you're like you need to become a coach for the Bills just to show your dad that you could do it.
Yes.
And I also think it's funny because we do Sunday sauce every Sunday to watch football and whatever. And if we don't eat sauce every Sunday anymore, we just call it Sunday sauce.
Call it Sunday sauce.
And my dad will always be like, because I was obsessed with Ben Roethlisberger and now I'm obsessed with TJ Watt. And I'm also in the golf game right now. So right now it's golf season. So Bryson, and he'll be like, oh,
also my favorite.
Did you see that? Did you see he winked at you, Danielle? Like, did you see he gave that to you just to screw with me? Mm-hmm. It's really, really quite fun.
He winked at you.
TJ Watt legitimately
knows
I hassled this man so hard when he was like, because I would go to the games here, the preseason games, and he did turn around and wave to me. He like straight at me because I was so annoying. But it was a magical moment between us.
That will forever live in your memory as the most magical moment.
As we wrap up, Jenna, just tell everybody your company, what you do, how they can get in touch with you, and how they can work with you.
Okay. So my company is Mission Driven Advisor and Soul Purpose Institute. We are a holistic business and mindset coach. Like I shared before, you know, I take emotional intelligence, personal growth, and help my business owners, my advisors to merge that into their business strategy. I'm on all of the socials, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. So you can find me there. Just type in my name, Jenna D'Annunzio.
We will make sure we'll tag you on everywhere.
We'll link you. We'll link the book. We'll link everything out.
Yes. But thank you so much for joining us. It was so fun.
Thanks.